Okay, on to another story that's been making headlines over the last couple of days. And it's not a nice story because I think when these two got together, people were, there's kind of like your parasocial kind of thing that you're saying of people getting very invested in a couple. And that was model Elsie Hewitt and actor and comedian Pete Davidson.
Yeah, I really liked them and I was very excited for them to be having a baby.
It's interesting because I think people followed Pete Davidson's love life to such an extreme degree. And it's almost like for a while there that he was seen as like, and I hate when people say this, but this is how it's like the phrase is used, like the Jennifer Aniston. But he was like a young guy in Hollywood. Everyone's like, when will he find love?
Oh, I relate, Pete. I get it. Yeah. Everyone's asking the same of me.
Whereas really he was, you're like, and you're the Pete Davidson.
I'm the Pete Davidson of the Mamamia office.
I love it. You really can draw Jennifer Aniston, Pete Davidson, Tina Burke.
Yeah.
The three of you. Even though he was just a young guy in his 30s, but I think because like his dating life became so public.
Yes,
because obviously he was with Cassie David and she was like she is the ultimate cool girl, but like I think she almost like upped his stock by dating him.
Yeah.
And then the Ariana Grande situation, like people went nuts over those paparazzi photos and like they're kissing and the lollipops. Remember the lollipops and she'd be holding his hand and they got engaged. It was a whole thing. And then the Kate Beckinsale of it all, the making out the basketball game. This is even before the whole Kim Kardashian situation.
Yeah, the Kaya Gerber, the Madeline Klein. Like, everything.
Yeah, he was with Madeline Klein for ages, but they weren't really, Outer Banks actress.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kaya Gerber was a big one too. Margaret Qualley.
Yes.
Those were cute pics.
They were cute. Everyone he was with, I was like, that's a bit cute. I don't know why. I liked him with everyone.
I don't know why. I think it's because everyone talked about him like his personality is so great. And I think like he just kind of was like, just seemed like he was so not desperate to fall in love, but.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. And then because we saw his kiss with Kim Kardashian happen on SNL, we saw it live. And then the fact when they got together, it just felt like fan fiction come to life.
Yeah.
And then he had her name carved into his skin with her kids' names. Well, he's getting them removed now. So I think people saw him, even though, again, he was only in his like 20s and like early 30s at the time. And he would give interviews saying how stupid he felt with people talking about his love life.
Yeah.
And also saying like, it looks like I've dated a lot of people, but I really haven't. And I mean, that's subjective, right?
Yeah. But he was also a bit of like a good luck Chuck.
Yeah.
I also hard relate. That's why I'm the Pete Davidson of the Mamamia office.
Yeah.
But like he was a bit of a like, they'd date Pete and then they'd find the one.
Not and
in
they
all
go
cases,
and get married, but a lot of them. Yeah. Like in like Margaret Qualley or something like that. Yes. So when he fell in love with model Elsie Hewitt, everyone was like, this is the real deal. There's something different about it. They seem so in love. He's finally found his person after everything he's been through. And when it was announced they were expecting their first child together, people were sort of also very wrapped up in this kind of, people love when people in Hollywood have like this bookend kind of like they find their person, they have a baby, and then like everything in their life is kind of set. So they were first linked in March 2025, but it was only in July 2025 they announced they're expecting their first child. And then their little girl was born and her name is Scotty Rose, and she's named after Pete Davidson's late father, Scott. So that was very cute as well. And then like a few months after Scotty was born, all these tabloid reports started surfacing that they were broken up and separated, which would have kind of been news anyway because it's always news when Pete Davidson breaks up with someone, but was obviously huge news this time around because they just had a baby together. Yeah. And there was this idea of like, has he left the mother of his child after she's just given birth? But they never commented on it. And so I thought maybe it was just tabloid speculation because we hadn't heard anything from them for a while. And so people were trying to beat up these stories. And then also Pete was giving interviews about how much he loved being a father. And he's like, it's exhausting, but we're so happy and we love her so much. And so it was like very much like he was speaking on behalf of the two of them, like we're in the trenches of new parenthood together and we're doing this together and we're so happy. So that was the story he was putting out. Until just this weekend, Elsie shared a TikTok video and it's kind of very much like it looks like an exhausted new mother of like she's lying back in bed and she's kind of like moving the camera around. And it's interesting because what the TikTok is about is she's kind of firing back at all this commentary around her lately from paparazzi photos of people saying that she looks disheveled, she doesn't look put together. And so that's why the audio sounds crazy because the poor exhausted woman's lying in bed. So if you're watching us on Apple, you can see the video. But she made a really interesting comment about what is happening with Pete Davidson.
I'm exhausted, okay? I should have left the house looking nicer yesterday. I should have known that was going to happen. But that's not what I'm thinking about right now because I have a baby to take care of. And I also have to work and make money. And I'm doing it on my own, which is hard. Noted. Next time, I will try to look nicer when I get paparazzi on a walk with my daughter.
So that's quite a bombshell to come to, because up until this moment, it's been tabloid reports and I haven't been like paying any notice to that. But the fact that she is saying that she's parenting solo and that she needs to work and make money and that she's really out here on her own with this baby, with Scotty, is confirming all the tabloid reports.
Which is just really disappointing. Like, you feel for her so much, especially like her livelihood is modeling. She's postpartum. Like, she can't just hop up and go on a shoot or a runway, you know. That's incredibly stressful to hear that maybe he's, I don't know, left her in the lurch a little bit.
Yeah, that does seem to be what's happened. It's also interesting because I guess like maybe she didn't know how much this is going to blow up, although I can't imagine you would think that this wouldn't blow up. But, you know, again, she's like a new mom looking after a baby, like, and, you know, I'm sure she was just trying to respond to people basically saying that she looks disheveled, which is a horrible thing to say.
Like rude.
Yeah, about anyone, but especially a new mum. But a lot of people comment on the TikTok in support of her and she was interacting with them, but they've all since been deleted.
Oh, okay.
So I think, I don't know if she's kind of realized how much this story is picking up and like how much people are like now building articles around her saying Pete Davidson left her. But under her video, someone said that not staying with your partner when you're postpartum is insanely loser behavior, and Elsie liked that. Okay. Someone else said, how could this happen? This is the most vulnerable time in a woman's life, and Elsie Hewitt liked that. And another person wrote, I hope you don't mean you're doing the financial part alone. That would be insane given the circumstances. You seem like a lovely person and a wonderful mother. We're all rooting for you. And then under this comment where someone's saying you're doing the financial part alone, Elsie commented, I am, with a little sad face. That's also been deleted. And then she also put up a post on her Instagram story saying that she was looking for someone to help her with Scotty, which again, this part isn't alluding to the fact that she's a single mother, but it did happen around the same time, so people have linked the two, is she put up some text on her Instagram and she said, I'm trying to find an assistant / mother's helper / nanny type, basically a right-hand person to help me out with the baby, and then ask people to send through their resumes. So that's all blowing out now because basically it's saying that she's kind of confirmed that she and Pete have split, and she's saying that she's not only raising the baby herself but paying for everything.
Do you know what? It reminds me so much of Pete's best friend, Machine Gun Kelly.
Yeah.
Leaving Megan Fox when she was expecting their child together. And at the time, I remember like Brian Austin Green, Megan's ex, was like, that's rat bag behavior. Like he was like, you're garbage. Why would you leave the mother of your child? And like, all love to MGK, but that seemed very messy. And all love to Pete Davidson, but this seems incredibly messy. And I understand why she'd probably be deleting it, but liking and commenting back would suggest that people are right, that she's been sort of let down by him.
So Pete Davidson hasn't put out a statement about this or anything, which again is kind of his style, but People magazine say they have talked to someone close to Pete, which, as we often say, is like either he's talked to Pete or they've talked to Pete or his manager. And they're just not putting his name down. But if they don't do random sources, so this is not just a random DM. It would have been someone.
It's not me on the side.
It's someone that they have verified is in Pete's team. Yeah. And they said, Pete has made himself extremely available and has provided full financial support. Pete is actually covering all of Scotty's costs and more. He is hoping Elsie has good health and success for the sake of their daughter. So, yeah, interesting. But it kind of does very much confirm the fact that they have broken up.
Do we think he's actually, like, I don't know, that source quote, yes, it's like, oh, he's giving support. But, I mean, she wouldn't be out here liking a bunch of comments if she felt supported by him, would she?
Well, I think financial support and physical support are two very different things.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, it's hard to say because we just don't know.
Yeah.
But I think the thing is like yes, I'm not going to weigh in on whether Pete Davidson's looking after his daughter or not. Like, how the hell would I know? But it's very interesting to see the public perception around this of the people, like there were a lot of women in Elsie Hewitt's like direct comments who were supporting her. But then I went and looked at the comments under all the stories who are now reporting this. And people are very much like kind of on Pete Davidson's side of like, he wouldn't do that. He's a good guy. Like she's trying to tear him down. And it's because there's a power imbalance of he's the more famous one.
Yeah.
And we know so much about him. Like we know about his dad dying in 9/11 when he was a child. We know about the close relationship he had with his mum. We know about him being really open about his mental health and like getting like support and urging other people to do the same. And we also know him as this like guy who like all these girls fall in love with and he's like a fun time. Yeah. But we don't really know anything about her. We just know that she's model Elsie Hewitt who dates Pete Davidson. And so it's
puts up in their perspective maybe a shady TikTok.
Yeah. And so I think it's a lot easier for people to side with him and create this narrative that she's this evil person. When if this was reversed, like if
it's impossible for it to be reversed in Hollywood. Like, as in, there's so much forgiveness for men in Hollywood on at every front, but especially when it comes to fatherhood. Like, people just see them as incredible human beings for like taking their daughter one day a week.
Yeah.
Like, not saying that's what's happening here. I mean, it sounds like she's saying he's completely disappeared. But the financial support thing gets people a pass. Like you see it all the time in comment sections about famous couples that have split and they're like, oh, but he's paying child support. And it's like, well, yes, that is his child.
Yes.
So that would check out, right?
Yeah. It's just so different, like how the storylines around this are, because Emily Verdum and I were saying on an episode of The Spill last week that Hayden Panettiere basically lost her entire career because it came out that she wasn't looking after her daughter full time and her daughter lived in another country and she visited her and was still in her life, but she wasn't the like sole physical guardian of her child. And that like decimated her career and still does to this day. And then you've got someone like Barry Keoghan, never said that boy's name right. Like it came out that he wasn't with his child full time and like he talked about getting like a lot of shit for that. But again, it was more people were angry at him for potentially cheating on Sabrina Carpenter. Like the thing about whether he was looking after his newborn child was never a conversation. And it was the same with Ethan Slater started dating Ariana Grande after they were in Wicked together, after his wife had just given birth to their child. And people seemed angrier that they didn't think Ethan was hot enough to be with Ariana. No one seemed that. I mean, the thing about his son and his wife did get brought up, especially when his wife wrote an essay about what it was like to be with her childhood sweetheart, marry him, have their baby, support him when he was like trying to be a Broadway star. And then he booked this huge role in a blockbuster movie, Wicked. And then to watch him fall in love with his co-star and basically see that happen in real time while she's trying to look after their child. But if you actually really looked at the commentary around that, people weren't angry about Ethan Slater not being with his baby instead of Ariana Grande. They were angry because they didn't think he was hot enough to be with her.
Yeah.
That was the conversation.
Yeah. Like they consistently seem to be mad at the wrong things.
Yeah.
And very much seem to give the men a pass and like side with them if it suits them. Like the whole biggest example of Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie is always my thing, or Tom Cruise and Suri, who he's like never seen again.
Yeah.
But there's always this narrative that like it's either the woman's fault and she's turned the kids against them if they're old enough to not be speaking to their parents, or if they're like young babies, it's like, oh, but he sees the baby or he gives child support or he does this thing. And it's like, I don't know that that's ever going to change, but it's also just so crazy to think that like a woman can go on TikTok and be like, I know it's just TikTok, but can release essentially a public statement being like, I have no support. Yeah. And then everyone's like, but I'm sure he's going to check in at some point.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. I don't think anything will really dent Pete Davidson's like larrikin sweet kind of public persona that he has.
And I think it's like an impenetrable armor for him at this point. Like there's been so many things that have happened that, and like, again, so many things that are just hard stuff he's been through in his life, or so many relationships that were public and went bad for one reason or another, that like he's just beloved by the people who love him, and like that's not going to stop.
Yeah, exactly. And it's an interesting thing to kind of just look at how like this narrative, like it hasn't even really happened yet. Like this TikTok has just come out. Yeah. The idea they've broken up has just come out, but we already know kind of almost like exactly how it's going to play out, of that she's going to be a little bit demonized and then kind of fall out of the public eye. There'll be a few sort of commentary pieces around him not being a father, but then like he'll start dating someone new and people will become very invested in that, or he'll do an interview or he'll release a new movie and everyone will become very kind of like go back to the way they saw him before. which is interesting. But yeah, at least we kind of have, after all the tabloid reports, some confirmation of what's happening now. And it'll be interesting if she, after whatever caused Elsie to delete the comments in the TikTok around how she responds to it going forward, because there's no way for this not to be public now.
Yeah, now
it is
it's out
such
there.
a public thing. They're going to have to decide, because saying nothing's also quite a big choice, where they say nothing or they put out some sort of a joint statement, which potentially might. He's not really a joint statement kind of guy, but I think in this case, because there's a child involved, because people are picking sides, because it's getting very messy publicly, I do see a world in which they put out some sort of a public statement, even if it's not true, that they're co-parenting. What do they say? Like co-parenting happily behind the scenes. Our child's our first priority, which I do believe.
Yes, yeah. It's always our child's our first priority. We're working through our
We
issues
have so much love and respect
which
for
was
each
like
other.
the initial reports were all very much that. Like the headlines were all happily co-parenting child, but not together until now.
Until the TikTok kind of blew everything up. But also maybe something terrible has happened behind the scenes and she was very it was fair enough of her to put that TikTok up.
Yeah, we won't know, but actually we might know if she keeps making TikToks.
Yeah, wow. Hope everything's okay behind the scenes. Well, if anything else happens, we'll keep you up to date on this story.